Good evening, and thank you, everyone, for joining us as always tonight for Speed Racing Network's Cup Series action from Nashville for the Music City 175. I'm Greg Olenik with my co-host Brandon Domingue. As usual, Brandon, we've had two great races already here at Nashville and just under 20 minutes away from getting to some Cup action. What do you think about tonight?
I think they've got a heck of a race to follow from what we saw in real life, and I won't go spoiler heavy for anybody that's sitting there, but a great finish there today. Hopefully we get a similar finish here tonight. Very different track though. Real life they were at Michigan. Tonight we are at virtual Nashville for the first Cup appearance on the schedule for this 1 1/3 concrete tri-oval. And it's been proven to be a very tricky circuit for these guys to get around. I know that we had that experience on Thursday in the Xfinity side, but there's really that one preferred groove that everybody's going for, and that makes this a very tricky race for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, you're going to see some guys really forcing it in there to pick up a spot when possible, and other guys just laying back to save their stuff to get to the end of a fuel run if we do have a full fuel run. But it is a very tight and narrow concrete track that's not like any other we have on the circuit. It's a 1 1/3 mile tri-oval, and it's just really interesting. You know, not a lot of guys have a lot of experience here, and that's really going to shake things up.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to figure out what you're really going to try to look at for an idea of how this race could go. You can kind of say, well, it's concrete, let's look at Dover, or, well, it's kind of a tri-oval. We already ran at Kansas, which is a little bit bigger, and it's asphalt, but it's a similar layout. But they just handle so differently than this track does, and just the way that you have to run it is so completely unique. Compared to what else we have on the schedule, I think. And so this one's really kind of a wild card race, and just going to be whoever's put the most time and has the most comfort out there on this track is going to be the one that has a good night tonight.
Absolutely. Well, we have a lot to get to here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show tonight. Like I mentioned, just under 20 minutes before we get out on track and sort this thing out. So let's go ahead and get into the race intro for this Music City 175. As you see it, we are in week 6 action, 135 laps tonight, and as always here in the Cup Series, no fast repairs.
Yeah, no fast repairs, and that's something that could bite some of these guys here tonight. As on the Xfinity side, we saw that kind of play out with a couple of early cautions, but then that thing just went green from then on out, and that last caution kind of shook things up where we saw fuel mileage come into play, and some people able to take advantage, including the race winner on Thursday, Tristan Bailey. So I think that, you know, if no fast repairs, there's going to have to be some caution in how the drivers attack it. I think we saw it on Thursday with everybody kind of getting single file after that second caution, realizing that we got to be a little bit smarter around here without having that safety net.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if we do get any type of strategy call like we saw. That was a really interesting take on Thursday that paid off huge for Tristan Bailey getting his first win of the season, but we'll see if we can get another first-time winner here in the Cup Series tonight. So let's go ahead and move on now to the league details like we always like to give you guys here at Speed Racing Network. It's a 20-week fixed setup season. No fast repairs like I already mentioned. These guys are paying $15 a week to get in on the action, and they are racing for weekly as well as season payouts with $1,000 going to that first place champion. And we do allow up to 5-person teams here, and they are racing for a separate team championship prize as well, which we will get to in a little bit.
Yeah, and I know we talk about it every week, and it still kind of just blows my mind about how much money is involved in this league. And you're looking at, you know, sim racing, and it's something that I was doing pretty early on, early in the 2000s on a different platform. Came back to it, never would have thought that the money would be here that we see. And with SRN, you're looking at that $1,000 first place prize. You're looking at the weekly payouts. Just absolutely amazing. The way that you can kind of turn this into a nice side hustle here if you start winning races, getting consistently up in front. Just a good way to spend a weekend here and make a little money in the process.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to pocket some good cash, and you're seeing that cash that they are racing for tonight. First place going to come away with $45. Second place going to get $30, with third through fifth getting their money back, and that's something that SRN has taken pride in all throughout its existence, is the money that they pay out to these drivers, which really promotes some really good racing out there and helps build the league, among other things.
Yeah, and I really love how you see a lot of drivers, once they get near that fifth place, sixth place, seventh place, you see the intensity kind of ramp up more than you would just seeing it out in front, battling for the win. And I think it just builds better racing throughout really the top 10, especially because you have that chance to move into that spot where you can make your money back and put it forward to next week.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get to some more money that these guys are racing for. And in the Cup Series, the season payouts are a nice chunk of change. First place going to come away with $1,000. Second place going to get $600. Third is going to get $350. With fourth coming away with $200. And if you do make it into that final round, coming in a top 5 here, you're going to get $125 guaranteed. Sixth place going to get $100. Seventh getting 75 with 80, walking away with 50. And this is a new thing here, Brandon, like we've always mentioned, extending that payout on the season through the top 8.
Yeah, it just gives more drivers more incentive to follow through on the entire season, and also going to build some great racing once we get to Atlanta for the season finale a little bit after Thanksgiving, where not only are we going to have the Championship 5 going for that $1,000 payday along with second through fifth, but you're going to be looking at those 5 drivers that got eliminated in the race before. They're still going to be up there for those 3 cash positions, 6th, 7th, and 8th among that group of 5, so that's going to be something that's going to make it a very nice race in Atlanta.
Yeah, I can't wait to get there, but we do have some time before then, as we're only in week 6 now. That'll be week 20 when we start paying these guys out this nice chunk of change. But moving on here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show, Kane Cook sim coaching, is going to be next, and we always like to preach for this guy because he has turned it around for me. I know, Brandon, he has helped you a lot in the B car as well. He's got 2 accounts, both of which over 7,000, and he's racing for $300,000 down in the Coca-Cola series. So this is definitely someone you want to pay attention to if you're taking lessons from the man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you get to that level. It says it right there, professional iRacer here. So definitely knows what he's talking about. Has been great in my experience with him about teaching me more than just the line on the track and the way to kind of throttle or brake around some of these turns. But it was really just about getting comfortable with the car and getting settings set up the right way to maximize your performance no matter what track you're at. And one of the days that we worked together was actually at Nashville, so kind of helped out a little bit there going to there this week with the Xfinity cars on Thursday. But yeah, definitely a great resource to use if you have the time to do so. And if you want to book them, go to speedracingnetwork.com.
Yeah, and he can help you out in any of the 3 series. And I'm sure some other cars as well, as far as your racecraft goes. But if you're in either the A, B, or C class car, do take advantage of this, like you said, speedracingnetwork.com. Very easy to follow the prompts and book a session, so do take advantage of that if you're interested. But moving on, we got the beer of the week next, and Sean Griffith has a little bit of a different take this week on this week's beer of the week.
This week's Beer Street Journal Beer of the Week is not yet on the shelves, but it's such an exciting announcement that we had to feature it here. Mountain Dew, the drink of choice for many gamers, is coming out with Hard Mountain Dew in 2022. That's right, the drink that got you through all those late nights of gaming will finally have that extra kick that you've been wanting. Currently, at least 3 flavors are planned: original, black cherry, and watermelon, though there could be more flavors in the works. While smaller soda companies and energy drink companies are jumping into the already crowded seltzer market, with the branding of Mountain Dew and the advertising power of PepsiCo, this one is likely to be one of the most popular hard seltzers ever. So be on the lookout for Hard Mountain Dew being released in 2022. The Beer of the Week is brought to you by Beer Street Journal, the leading online publication for craft beer reviews. Go to beerstreetjournal.com to find your next great beer. And as always, you must be 21 to enjoy, and please drink responsibly.
Thanks, as always, to Sean Griffith for giving us this week's Beer of the Week. A little bit of a different take, like I said, as it's a seltzer, a hard seltzer from Mountain Dew. Thanks to Beer Street Journal, as always, for giving us these. And check them out on beerstreetjournal.com. But before we move on, Brandon, what are you thinking about these? You going to give it a try?
I might as well. I'm always up to try new things. Seltzer's not really my kind of style, but it's a little interesting. And if it's tasting anything like those Code Reds used to, maybe that's something worth trying.
I used to love the Code Reds, man. When they first came out, it was awesome. But yeah, if you guys are interested, go ahead, check out Hard Mountain Dew on beerstreetjournal.com. They have a great section on that, and go ahead and learn more about it from them. But moving on now to the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. We are about halfway through the regular season, so let's go ahead and check out who is inside the cut. And the man at the top, he's been there for a few weeks now, James Holtzer leading the way. Scott Haley just 13 points behind him. Reese Schaefer going to be rounding out our top 3. But Brandon, any names sticking out to you inside the top 15?
Well, there's a couple that have been moving up here to make their way back into the top 15 after strong seasons last year. And the one that really catches my eye is Scott Kalal, sitting in 13th. He was sitting around in the high 20s just a few weeks ago, and he's really charged his way back up to get above that cut line into the top 15. And obviously you're looking at one of our championship 5 from last year with Gabriel Ellison sitting in 4th, excuse me. So you have a few names that have moved their way back up into contention. And yeah, we've been saying like, hey, it's early to look at points, but now we're getting to that point where it's starting to get a little bit to that point where you've got to be making these pushes to get as many points as you can.
You don't want to be giving up many points out there, as we're only 7 weeks away from playoff time. But moving outside the cut, we're going to see some big names here as well looking to make their way in. Raul Meza dropping outside the top 15 this week. Kyle Spees sitting there in 17th. He was a Final 5 driver last year with great speed and sitting about 4 points outside the cut right now. Nicholas Gowen with a win already in the Xfinity Series, looking to get one in the Cup Series. And a few other names. You see Jacob Smith sitting there in 23rd, Brandon. So a lot of work for these guys to do if they want to get in on that $1,000 prize.
Yeah, and Jacob Smith, he's got the win in his pocket already. That came at Dover, the last concrete track, but I do not see him out there for tonight. So he's been running a part-time schedule, still in that contention, though. And keep in mind, do have the 3 drop weeks that will apply over the first 12 races of the season, as week 13, our final race, does not have that drop week. So that's something that he can take advantage of, but kind of flirting. If you have that one bad finish and you miss 3 races, you're just going to have to stick with that bad finish. So that's a precarious position for Jacob Smith.
Yeah, we'll see how this all sorts out after the drop weeks are enabled. But before we move on to team introductions, let's go ahead and check out the team standings here in the Cup Series. This is all for seeding pretty much, as there's a new playoff format with these teams. But Next Level Motorsports is going to be at the top with 2 wins, almost 100 points ahead of Tank Racing. So really putting on a great performance so far here this year. Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing tied with Tank Racing. Actually, no, they're not. They're just missing the 3. They're about 18 points behind Tank Racing, so that's going to round out your top 3.
Yeah, and then behind them you'll have Rev'd, R&D, Stryker, and Ramsey Cole Racing. They're going to be in those spots where they're going to have to face either Next Level or Tank or Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing, and that's going to be a tough task. So having to get the seeding all worked out, obviously the number 1 seed going to be very important because you get that bye in the first round.
Well, with 6 minutes before we get out on track, let's go ahead and get through these team introductions. The first team up on that list going to be Next Level Motorsports. A little bit of a different team out here, rebranded from another team and already sitting at the top with a big lead over second. And they're going to have the 42 of James Holtzer out there with the 53 of Landon Lacy. Both wins to their names. Gabriel Ellison in the 27, Timothy Latham in the 5 with the 88 of Nick Gowen as well.
Yeah, and if you want to look at speed in practice, keep an eye on Timothy Latham tonight. But if you want to look at clean drivers that are able to take advantage of a tight racetrack like this one, Gabriel Ellison has kind of been snake bit this season. But if he can get that clean streak going once again, he might be a big contender tonight.
Moving on, next team up is going to be Tank Racing. They're second place in the team standings at the moment, and they are having a really good year as well. The 57 of Emerson Ardon, the Reese Schaefer machine riding in the number 17. He's got some good speed out there, along with the 7 of Joshua Balliet. And Seth Berger has had a really good season as well. And 81 of Max Service, a little bit of a different paint out there tonight. We will show you that later on. But what do you think of this team, Brandon?
I love their spirit here this week is in all three series. They've gone with the musical themes here for the Music City races, including tonight's race. I can't wait to see those here on the track, but definitely been impressed with both Balliet and Schaefer as well as Berger. Really, this team has, I don't want to say overperformed the expectations, but they have been absolutely incredible this season.
Yeah, they have done really well, but looking to get that first win on the season. We'll see if they can do that tonight here at Nashville. But moving on here, the third team in our standings is going to be Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing, and they have got some momentum heading on into the second half of the regular season. Austin Reedy has been running really well. Kyle Benson started off really hot, but has really done well to these last couple of weeks as well. Scott Healy in the 64, a new name to that list. Craig Lautenslager in the 13 machine. And John Honeycutt in the 50 machine also sitting inside the cut as the point standings stand right now.
And this team has been kind of retooling itself from week to week. I don't think they've had the same lineup for back-to-back weeks just yet. Obviously, now that we're at the locked point, it's going to be these five going the rest of the way. But looking at these five, they all have a lot of speed, a lot of talent out on the track. They could be a big player as this season continues.
Last season's Cup champion Scott Healy looking to get that first win on the season. But moving on here, we're going to go check out our fourth team in the team standings. That's going to be R&D Motorsports, and their team captain David Duke sitting inside the cut as the points stand at the moment, so he's having a really good season. Brian Mabry also running really well as the season goes on. Jordan Saylor is in the 55 looking to get some momentum. 87 Chad Wampler making a return to SRN. And a new name on this list, the 60 of Joshua Siegfried, moving up from the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, that's a big get there, too, as he's shown some good speed out here, especially this week at Nashville. But this team having to be one of those other ones that are retooling up until this week, where we get to the point where these lineups are official the rest of the way. Really like some of the momentum that this team has been building, though, the past few weeks.
Absolutely, some good momentum there at R&D. Moving on now to the fifth team in the team standings with just 2 minutes to go before we get out on track. It's going to be Revved Racing, and they got the 3-car of Byron McDonald out there this week, the 23 of Scott Kalal, the 36 of Kyle Spees, who's looking to make his way inside the top 15. The 73 of Dalton Tucker has shown great speed all year, looking to get that first win, and the 99 of Christopher Lawrence out there as well.
Yeah, it's a little surprising to see this lineup be sitting in 5th place in the team standings at this point. Just seems like they haven't been able to string together these good runs at a consistent basis for one reason or another. But you look at the talent that this lineup has, I think that they can turn that around here pretty quickly if they just get that little bit of good luck.
Brandon, it's your team next, the Striker Motorsports team, so I always like to give you the floor. Let's hear who they got on their Cup team.
Well, you see it there, Fastest Lightning. First season here in the Cup Series for Striker, and it's going to be Mike Lewis in the 05. Bo Brady has been really stringing together some good runs here lately. He'll be in the 19. Raul Meza, this will be the first week he's outside of the top 15 in the point standings, so he'll be working his way back in the 37. Kyle Johnson in the 48. Joe Ruggles Jr. in the 96.
Yeah, Bo Brady really looking fast out here tonight at Nashville. So this team could definitely put together a good performance here tonight. So we'll be paying attention to them. But moving on to the final team in the team standings is going to be Ramsey Cole Racing. And they have a new name on the squad. And it's going to be the 9 of Russ Bovert. So looking forward to see what he can do out there. The 12 of Andrew Lewis and the 41 of Ty Cole. And the addition of Russ was big for this team as we scored 3 drivers, or up to 3 drivers, as far as the team standings go. So this could really help them out.
Yeah, and that's absolutely massive for them. They still have to make sure that they get all 3 here every single week, so they can make use of having all 3 of those spots filled. But but they were coming from 2 the first 5 races. Now adding Russ, that's going to be huge for them going forward, and possibly still being a big factor once we get to the playoffs.
Well, let's go ahead and check out the independents. Only 2 of them out there tonight. The 8 of Michael Politis and the 25 of Dean Brummett going to be our independent drivers tonight. But that's going to do it for us here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. Let's get out to the track and see how the lineup's looking for this Music City 175 And no surprise, James Holtzer going to be our pole sitter tonight. Reese Schaefer going to be outside the pole. Gabriel Ellison going to be starting third. And Dalton Tucker going to be starting fourth, Brandon.
Yeah, seeing a lot of our usual fast drivers out in front here at a track that's pretty tough to pass. In row 3, we're going to have Austin Reedy from Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing. Outside row 3, Dean Brummett will be our fastest independent starting in 6th. Row 4 will be Max Service and Seth Berger, both representing Tank Racing.
Yeah, Nick Gowen going to be starting 9th. John Honeycutt going to be rounding out our top 10. David Duke going to be starting 11th. And Scott Healy going to be starting in 12th. So, Brandon, the standings are right there on the screen as far as, the starting lineup goes. Who are you going to be taking tonight for the win?
I think that this is going to be one of those races where passing opportunities really come at a premium. I think being up near the front at the start is going to be very important. And somebody that I've liked all season long just for sheer speed, think they string it together, get a great result tonight, and park that thing in victory lane. I'm going to go with the 17 of Reese Schaefer.
You took my pick, man. Now I got to reevaluate, see what I think here. I think we're going to get a new winner as far as first-time winner here in SRN tonight. He ran on Thursday and ran in the top 3 most of the race. I'm going to go ahead and take that one car of Austin Reedy back here starting 5th. He's shown some really good speed, seems to really like the concrete tracks, so I'm going to go ahead and go with this one car. And plus, it's just a beautiful car, so I can't say no to that, and I look forward to seeing what he can do tonight.
It's a great-looking car, and we're seeing a lot of great-looking paint schemes out there tonight. I know we'll touch on some of those here in a little bit. You kind of got a preview with one of them here during the picks as they are rolling off pit road onto their one parade lap before we get started here at the Nashville Superspeedway for the first time in SRN's Cup Series history.
So looking forward to seeing what these guys can do, as it's a new track to the whole sim. So it's new to all these guys. I mean, granted, there's not been a lot of opportunity in fixed officials to be racing at this circuit. So I'm really curious to see who's got the speed here. But right now, looking like James Holtzer showing some good speed, just how he did on Thursday as well. But we are rounding turns 3 and 4. Field's getting bunched up out here, and we're going to be underway with a quick 135 laps as these laps really tick off if they go green.
Yeah, we saw that on Thursday with how fast that race went once we started going green. And speaking of, here we go in Nashville.
The pace car pulls off, the flag in hand, and we are green. James Holtzer takes off, but not too far from Reese Schaefer. Reese gets a really good jump here and stays to his outside. Gabriel Ellison going to be on the inside of the 17 now. This is going to be the battle for second.
Yeah, and you see how important it is. Everybody trying to get down to that bottom line. Here on this opening lap, you can kind of make it work on the high side. Everybody's still building up that momentum. And having those cold tires, you're not having to pinch it down to the apron as much. But as this gets going in lap 1, lap 2, you're really going to see these guys try to filter down to the inside line.
Yeah, there is speed up there, just like any other track, but you don't want to stay up there too long, as it will just eat your tires alive here, and you need tires more than anything. See a car coming out of the pace or the pit lane there. So Michael Politis missing the start, so he's going to be a lap down early on, showing 3 laps down actually. So not sure how that is, as we're only on lap 2, but he's going to be behind the 8-ball nonetheless. But right now, the top 3 single file, with a battle between Gabriel Ellison and Austin Reedy. Austin Reedy trying to move up to 4th.
Yeah, and that's one of the few side-by-side battles that we're seeing out on the track in just 2 laps into this race. And we typically have seen some of these early cautions based on what we saw on Wednesday and Thursday as people trying to figure out what the limits are around this track when it comes to side-by-side racing. It's real tough to keep that momentum on the inside, even though you have the premium line. And speaking of cautions, there we go, right in the middle of that point, as we got our first one in lap number 3, and it's Joe Ruggles out of Stryker Motorsports turned around here in turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, looking like he was the only car involved. Might have got a little bit of help to send the 96 around. But we'll pull up a Beer Street Journal wreck replay to really figure out what happened. But as always, please drink responsibly. So going back, we're going to find out exactly what happened here. Racing with the 24 of, I believe that's Landon Lacy there. So maybe, getting a little bit of help. Landon turning the 96 out on lap 2 already. Byron McDonald, lucky getting through that, kind of drove through the 96, so getting a little bit of a lucky hand from the iRacing sim here.
Yeah, the net code giveth and the net code taketh away. This time gave to Byron McDonald, who caught a big break there on this one. It looks like Joe was getting ready to turn down to get to the inside there in 3 and 4. And Landon just trying to make that run a little bit deeper, didn't turn as quickly. You can do a bit of a late entry here getting through this turn, so you don't necessarily have to make that turn very early. And there's just different points there going for the same piece of real estate.
Yeah, you're going to see right here. I'm pretty sure he got a little bit of a lucky draw there as far as being able to drive through that car. Probably getting 4X, and if you don't know what that means, they hand out incident points within the sim if you make contact with another driver. So I'm fairly certain that the sim would register that he made contact with the 96, but not giving him any damage. Yeah, totally driving through the front end there. Both of these drivers going to be able to go on with their nights, though.
May need to talk to Byron and see how I can get some of that luck going forward, because that's not often you get something like that happening on iRacing. Normally, it's going to be conservative and think if you're near, it's going to give the damage. Just thinking there was going to be contact. It's not very often you're going to see somebody go through somebody and not pick up any damage.
Yeah, so surprising to see Landon Lacy even running that far back in the pack. I know he likes to start in the back sometimes to make a hard charge towards the front, but that is the problem with doing so. You're going to have a lot of traffic to pass and sometimes getting you caught up in a little bit of trouble, but that 24 car should be clean nonetheless. But up front, James Holtzer are going to be leading the way. Reese Schaefer showing some really good speed early on. Dalton Tucker already up to third.
Yeah, he has been moving there. Granted, that's that one spot from that fourth starting position, but he pulled away from that race for third and fourth once he got by, or excuse me, fourth and fifth once he got by, and really was just running with Holtzer and Schaefer. So it kind of showed how important it is to get single file around here. Side by side, you lose a lot of time.
Let's go check out some of these tank racing paints. They've had fun all weekend here in the Music City. You see Reese Schaefer sporting the Zach Brown band. Going on to his other teammate here, Seth Berger, going to be rocking the Johnny Cash car. That's a good-looking car in the 77. Here's the Max Service car that I was talking about, sporting the Taylor Swift colors, Brandon. You're a big fan of this one, aren't you?
I really liked this one when I saw it earlier. Thought of all kinds of jokes that would be made, but he's running 8th, so I can't really use anything related to 22 just yet. But there's a whole lot we can do. And here, looking a little bit farther back, we got Joshua Balliet rolling with the Dragon Force car. So that's a big one if for any Guitar Hero fans out there. And Elvis Presley on the car for Emerson Arden.
Yeah, my fingers just hurt thinking about that Dragon Force song on Guitar Hero. But a few more of them out there tonight. We'll get to those in just a little bit. But it's been really fun this weekend. You know, usually we'll have a throwback week here in SR, and obviously that will be Darlington, as that's always the throwback race. But these guys having a good time putting together some cool paints, so we're enjoying it.
Yeah, they've done it in the Trucks and Xfinity series too. Love the spirit that they have here with us racing these Music City races. Really cool seeing the Johnny Cash one. I know that Johnny Cash big with Nashville. They have the building there for him, all that, and that's kind of a very fitting one. So that one's probably going to be the favorite one to me here this week. But they've had a lot of cool paint schemes devoted to music this week.
There you see it. James Holtzer going to be taking the outside. I'm assuming that's because his teammate Gabriel Ellison just behind him up there restarting fourth. So that's going to put Reese Schaefer down on the inside lane. Dalton Tucker to his rear end. Austin Reedy in fifth. So that's going to be our top 5. We'll see how this works out, as we haven't seen the leader really restart on the high side. But I have to imagine they are going to be working together here to get a good jump on the field. So Reese is going to really have to pay attention to when Holtzer hits the gas. And here you see it. He gets on it early and blows the doors off of Reese Schaefer.
Saw that stack up there as it was right at the moment that he was able to go. James Holtzer just punched it and really got pulled away, and that worked out perfectly for him and Ellison, as they're going to be 1-2 and clear of everybody as we get through 1 and 2 for the first time on this restart. Reese Schaefer trying to take a look on the inside. Dalton Tucker doing the same for third.
Yeah, so the battle for fourth right now between Dalton Tucker and Seth Berger here. We'll see how this sorts itself out. Dalton Tucker showing some good speed early on, but Reese Schaefer going to be trying to make a move to the inside. Looks like he's got the nose to the 27's rear quarter panel there. We'll see if he's able to roll the center really well and get a little momentum heading down the backstretch. Looks like he's making some ground here on Gabriel. Going to get some help from Dalton Tucker behind.
Yeah, the inside's definitely the faster way around here. You do lose a little bit of that momentum when you get on the exit, just because the outside can get that better run out of the turn. Out of turn 2, it was kind of magnified a little bit more. Saw that 17 get a little bit loose, trying to hold it down to the inside there and not get into Ellison in the 27. See how that works out this time around. There's a little bit more speed on the inside through 1 and 2, in my opinion. And I think this might be the window here for the 17 to possibly get clear here within maybe the next lap.
Yeah, he's going to have to make the move soon, as these guys behind him are really just waiting to see what happens. But right now, Gabriel Ellison going to need to really sort itself out as well, and because he's just burning those tires up there on the high line. Able to keep speed with the 17, but really going to hurt his long run pace in 27 if he's not. Oh, they get really tight. They're almost making contact off of 2. You see Ted Rekich down there saying, "Let's go, Holtzer." So good to see Ted out there in chat.
And definitely it's going good for Holtzer right now, because this side-by-side 2x2 racing for second and third and fourth and fifth has really opened up this gap. Now 0.6 of a second from first to this race for second, and the longer they stay side-by-side, the more that's going to increase. It's about a 1/10 a lap being gained by James Holtzer.
Yeah, you see Dalton Tucker able to clear the 77 of Seth Berger. Now Dalton Tucker going to think about going to the high side of Reese Schaefer to try and pick up some spots here and make his way up to third, where he was before that last restart. Got a little bit held up by the 17's slow jump there, but able to make up some ground as he's looking really fast right now in that 73 machine.
Yeah, just saw one that looked like they got into the grass a little bit through that tri-oval, but we stayed green, no damage done to anybody. They just kept it going in a straight line, not too sure who that was. But yeah, watching this race for third and fourth, and really third through sixth, as we got 4 cars under a blanket at this point, all very close racing for about 5 laps in a row since this restart.
So here you see it, Dalton Tucker trying to get to turn 1 and clear the 17, but still unable to do so. Reese really showing some good speed down there on the inside line, which, Brandon, we thought was the preferred lane, but these guys are really getting racy here, making it 2-wide racing throughout this whole racetrack, something we didn't see in the Truck and Xfinity Series.
Yeah, and I thought for sure that, a little bit of experience when the Real Cup Series and all the complimentary series. Oh, we got one into the grass, getting loose out of turn 4. That's John Honeycutt. And he's going to keep it going straight, but going to lose a lot of time, a lot of positions. 3 wide into 1 as we've got Latham and Lautenschlager getting caught up, trying to get by the 50 as he's still getting that momentum built up to speed, but everybody going to keep it clean. And we're going to stay green and continue on with this great racing for third through 7th now, as this group is starting to bunch up here as they continue to go 2x2.
Slogger really thinking twice there. This is not a track where you want to be 3 wide. We're surprised to see it even 2 wide for the whole track. Definitely not somewhere that you want to be taking it 3 wide, so good move by the 13 to keep that car going, because that could have been disastrous if they stayed that way. But right now, this race right here for third, fourth, fifth, sixth right here, not really going anywhere. And at the moment, just James Holtzer and Gabriel Ellison of Next Level Motorsports just pulling away from these guys.
Yeah, and you can see how much Ellison has pulled away once he cleared Reese Schaefer in the 17. It's already a 0.8 of a second difference going from second back to third, and that has only been about 4 laps since that point. So this side-by-side racing has been great, but it is the worst thing for the guys that are involved in that, and the best thing for both Holtzer and Ellison, who continue to pull away.
See it down there at the bottom. A little message from us here at SRN. Don't miss next week's race, the Rich Get Richer at Richmond. So we're going short track racing, first one of the season, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be, and I think it's going to be a lot of similarities to what we're seeing today. Granted, it's going to be on asphalt, not concrete. I believe it's going to be a night race, not a day race, if I recall correctly. And we're going to be seeing that at a shorter track, but it's going to be a lot of resemblance to what we're seeing here today, where that inside line, people are going to be racing for it, but you're still going to see the possibility for the outside to be able to make some moves here based on what we've seen today, which has really kind of caught me off guard. Because I know what I was saying earlier was when the real schedule came out there, obviously the official races were at Nashville as well, and in my experience, it was all about the inside line. And we saw it on Wednesday and Thursday with the trucks and Xfinity cars, how much that inside line was the priority. But here in the Cup Series, they're making that outside line work, even though there is a lot of speed loss here with the side-by-side racing.
Scott Healy behind this pack looking for these guys to get going because he is looking fast in that 64 machine for Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing. He's going to try and break this whole party up and get by as he makes it look easy on the inside of Seth Berger. Just behind him, Landon Lacy already up 19 positions. He started 27th. He's already up to 8th.
That is a monster run, and we've seen that this week where a lot of the guys on Wednesday that in the Truck Series race that finished inside the top 10 didn't even start in the top 15, let alone the top 10. So we have seen a lot of guys able to make these big moves throughout the race and really pick up positions. Part of it due to the way that the cautions played out and the fuel strategy, but part of it is some guys just really, really good at knowing how to kind of just be gentle enough around this track to pick up a lot of speed later in the runs.
Yeah, so that goes a long way as far as a long run goes, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. This is probably about 15-lap green flag run here as it runs right now. Only one caution so far in the race on lap 22 out of 135 so far. So, like I said, these laps will start ticking off pretty fast. It looks like a long race with 135-lap scheduled distance, but we saw it in the Xfinity Series race with a 90-lap green flag run at the end. These things can fly by.
Yeah, and the laps here go even faster with the Cup cars than they did on Thursday with the Xfinity cars. We're seeing these times for James Holtzer still in the 30.6 range for our race leader, who's a good 9/10 of a second ahead of his teammate Gabriel Ellison in second. So we're seeing times about a second and a quarter faster at this point in the run than we saw on Thursday.
Point out a few big movers as well. We already talked about Landon Lacy. Joshua Balliet up 7 positions after starting 16th. He's made his way into the top 10 for Tank Racing, running 9th as they stand. He's behind this hard charging pack for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th right here. So he's going to have to work his way through here if he wants to climb anymore. Another one who's making some good moves on his way to the front going to be Timothy Latham. He started 22nd, up 9 already, sitting in 13th.
I'm still feeling the Miami vibes from last week there with the South Beach paint scheme, but definitely stands out on this concrete, and definitely standout performance as well for him as he started in that 22nd, like you said, up to 13th position already. So there's a couple big movers, but the biggest mover of them all in that 24 car on the inside, blue and yellow, that's Landon Lacy, who's now up to 7th. So it's 20 positions gained in 25 laps.
Sitting on the inside of Dalton Tucker right now, looking to pick up 6. So showing some really strong pace out there. He was really fast on Thursday's race in the Xfinity Series, so definitely no surprise here to see him working his way up to the front. Clears the 73 easily, so it seems like he has really saved his stuff so far, working his way up very smoothly. Now has his sights set on the 64 of Scott Healy, who is also one of the fastest cars out there on track. So these guys are going to be knocking on the door of James Holtzer and Gabriel Ellison, I imagine, before we know it.
Yeah, and if you're in that 24 for Landon Lacy, he's got a shot to go back-to-back after winning last week, and really kind of a surprise with how we've seen a few names really up front for a lot this season, but we're 5 races in. Tonight's race 6. 5 different winners on the season thus far, so yet to see a repeat winner. Holtzer and Lacy both trying to change that here and get our first one of the season.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that works itself out. Almost down to 100 laps to go. But some great action out here as we see Dean Brumman trying to make his way into the top 10, working on Seth Berger right now. Seth's going to get that spot for the moment, but Dean Brumman not going to let him go too far. See Timothy Latham picking up another spot right there on Kyle Benson to move his way up to 12th. So a lot of movement happening out here on the track, and I have to imagine that these Cup cars can go roughly 45 to 50 laps on a green flag run as far as fuel goes. So we will see how long someone wants to stretch it. Probably about halfway through that fuel run now, considering we had one caution already.
Yeah, I think the goal for everybody is really going to be to try to get this to thirds if you're able to, and get to lap 45, knowing that you can make it to the next 45 segment. Then you'd be able to make it to the end, barring any green, white checker finishes, which we kind of saw about really affect the race for the real Xfinity Series yesterday at Michigan. So there's always that chance that you see that green, white checker kind of throws all that strategy out the window. But I think that's going to be the target for everybody, just trying to break this race into thirds.
You see it, Landon Lacy moving into the top 5 after starting 27, so already up 22 spots. Dalton Tucker, though, starting to fall back in a hurry. He is already outside the top 10 as Dean Brummett gets by him. That's going to put Tucker back to 11th, and he's going to have trouble fighting off this 5 car of Timothy Latham as well. So Dalton Tucker about to lose 2 spots here, and going to want some new tires here shortly as the speed has really fallen off of this 73 car.
Yeah, and I think that's the byproduct of all that hard racing that we saw early in this stint after the restart, where he was really side by side for a good 15 laps or so. And I think that just wore out the tires, and the outside line is not really going to be that viable for him at this point with the increased wear that he's going to have compared to everybody else. I think he'll be better off on the inside as he is right now, but you saw him there a lap ago on the outside and just getting freight trained by a few cars.
Yeah, and another one of those cars that was sitting on the outside a while is that 77 Johnny Cash machine just in front of him. Seth Berger was stuck up on the outside as well, so both these cars starting to fall through the pack. Drummond and Timothy Latham looking at chops right now, as they have some good speed on the long run, it seems, so far in this race, heading to lap 33. So this is where all the action is, right here on track from about 9th back to 13th. These guys trying to sort it out amongst themselves, but Scott Healy, Landon Lacy still on the move. Scott Healy only about 0.8 of a second back of Austin Reedy now for third, so we'll be paying attention to that. But right now, teammates Joshua Balliet, Reshaper battling for 7th.
Yeah, and at this point, you know, you're seeing these guys that were really racing hard kind of falling off, and I think that's even the case with Ellison a little bit. He got cleared a little bit earlier. He's still sitting in second. But he has fallen off a little bit on the time, maybe about 0.05 a lap or so to Holtzer, as they continue to just kind of stretch out this run compared to everybody else. But I think you're seeing Reedy and Healy and definitely Lacy starting to close up on the 27 at least, just a little bit each lap.
Yeah, Scott Healy, the fastest car on the track the last lap, running a 30.858 compared to the leaders, James Holtzer, running a 30.98, so he has at least over 1/10 of a second on Holtzer, and right then, this time by, Holtzer running a 31.02 compared to Healy's 0.1. Austin Reedy there that time running a 92, so these guys are definitely running faster lap times than our top 2, so we will see how long it takes them to get up to the front here, if they have enough time before this pit cycle works itself out, and what they're able to do with these older tires.
I think we're about 10 laps or so away from once we see everybody having to make that pit stop. Should be around that point. Maybe some can stretch it out a little bit farther than that as we look back in the field. Joshua Siegfried, he's running the 53. You see him on our screen, noted as the number 60. Bit of a number change here this week for him, as he's out there in the 18th position. New pickup for R&D Motorsports, coming up from the Xfinity Series that he's been running on Thursday nights. So a solid top 20 run here thus far, going for Siegfried in his full-time debut here in the Cup.
Yeah, this is one of my teammates from last season. He ran for Rev'd a little bit this year, having a little bit of a schedule change at work, forcing him out of the Xfinity Series and up here into the Cup Series, but he has performed really well in the races that he's run in the Cup Series, so looking forward to see what Josh can do. But here you see Dean Brummett and Timothy Latham both able to clear the 73 of Dalton Tucker now as his fall continues through the field. Dean Brummett now in the top 10. Timothy Latham looking to join him as Seth Berger sits in their way now. So another 2 cars moving their way up towards the front, just like we've seen Scott Healy and Landon Lacy do as well. And I don't want Nicholas Goen to go by the wayside either. He has done a great job moving his way up, having a really clean race so far after starting 9th, already up to 6th, and just sitting there quietly trying to get into the top 5.
Yeah, to this point, he's really had that race as somebody that's going to be in significant contention for a top 5, if not a top 3 finish by the end of the night. Just keeping that thing clean, being very smooth throughout the entire race thus far as I've noticed. Not really sticking that car into any pressure situations, just picking off the spots as he can and being very gentle around this track and conserving all the tires and just keeping that car clean.
It's a good-looking car, too, so why not keep it clean? I'm always a fan of a black car, but here we see Gabriel Ellison. Oh, and here we go. Dalton Tucker, we mentioned his fall through the field. Going to come down, get 4 fresh tires on lap 40, so we're going to see if this strategy pays off. Maybe a 3-stop race for these guys. So I don't know if that's going to be the case, but we're going to find out shortly.
Real curious if that's going to be something that gets a few other cars to bite and make this pit stop a little bit early. Think they can at least get another 5 laps, though, to avoid this having to be a 3-stop race. But, yeah, we see Holtzer has already gone by pit road. He's not going to be a taker. It doesn't look like anybody else in the top 10 really biting this point at this undercut. And it was definitely a necessity, it looked like, for Dalton Tucker, who was in that mode where he lost a lot of speed and a lot of grip around this track.
Yeah, and, being a 45-lap fuel tank that I think that these guys have at least, you would think that would be a 2-stop race, making it 45, 90, and then 135 getting you to the end, especially with that caution that they already had. So definitely curious to see how this works out for the 73 of Dalton Tucker. Probably going to need a caution to help him out with this strategy. But, that's why we're up here on the booth on Sundays and not down there racing with these guys. So, Brandon, we will have to see how it works out.
Yeah, I know both of us, probably a little bit touchy still for me too. But, yeah, we're on the wrong side of the fuel gamble that played out there on Thursday. But we're seeing more come in. Reese Schaefer is going to make his way in. I believe I saw one more behind him. I think it was the 77 of Seth Berger. So they're going to be making their way to pit road as well at lap 43. So they might still be able to make this on one more stop if they stretch this middle stint. But it's going to be tight.
Here we go. I think, nope, it looked like James Holtzer slowing down that time, but definitely not the case as he's still out there on the track. But you're right, Brandon. Maybe they do think that they can stretch this middle stint out to make it a 2-stop race. But right now, James Holtzer not biting and staying out there on the track with his teammate Gabriel Ellison. Austin Reedy also still out there. The top 5, really the top 10 for the most part, not biting yet.
And another lap. Looks like another lap going by pit road for the race leader. Wondering if anybody else is going to try to make this undercut to make up a good amount of time. Because we're seeing those lap times move north of 31 seconds a lap. Fresh tires, you can be running around that 29.6, 29.7 with still holding a race pace that's being a little bit conservative on tire wear. So you're looking at about a second and a half, second and a third that can be made up each lap that you got those fresh tires.
Yeah, it's definitely going to give Dalton Tucker some track position, and if he can get a lucky caution by the time he gets that track position, as we see Joshua Balliet turning off, as well as Dean Brummett coming down pit road as well. Some clean entries, because this is one of the hardest pit entries, I like to say, on the circuit. Like I mentioned earlier, new circuit to all these guys, so this is something that they don't usually practice, but those guys getting on very cleanly. But yeah, we're going to have to see when our leader, James Holtzer, decides to come down, still not biting to this point. So we're going to see some shuffling as it comes to the standings, but James Holtzer going to have the faster car than most of these guys on the long run. Landon Lacy coming down this time.
Lacy coming in. Also see Bo, Brady, John Honeycutt making their way into the pits, as well as Scott Kalal in the 23. So now we're past lap 45, so we're seeing more and more cars make their way in. I think we're hearing a little bit of chatter of a few more making their way in. I think we're going to see Gabriel Ellison hitting pit road, and we see James Holtzer as well coming into this entry that's a little bit blind onto this pit road entry. As you see him having to slow up a little bit late there, looks like he did get into speed as Austin Reedy in, Scott Healy in. Nick Gowen is going to stay out, get the bonus point for leading a lap here, as he did get to the line just ahead of Holtzer. So Gowen will be our second race leader of the night.
Yeah, and always a good strategy to get that bonus point if you have the ability to do so. But I have to imagine that this 88 will not stay out too long. We'll probably see him come down this time. And here you see he's on the brakes hard, getting that pit entry just right and doing a really good job. He's going to have to really slow up here. Timothy Latham going to take the lead to get that bonus point.
And for Latham, that's a good move, trying to move up in this title race here. But I think for Gowen, that was a huge move for him as he enters this race outside of the top 15. I believe it was 18th place for Nick Gowen. So that one bonus point could go a long way as we get near halfway through our regular season.
Yeah, those things really start to add up once you get closer to playoff time. Timothy Latham going to come down this time in that beautiful number 5 car. And David Duke going to take over the race lead. It's almost like a musical chairs when it comes to a new race leader out here, as all these guys running different strategies. David Duke going to take the lead with his new teammate, Joshua Siegfried, just behind him there in the 53. But you're going to see the speed difference here as Gabriel Ellison's just able to send the car in way deeper. Scott Haley going to have to be really careful as he's showing some really good speed, sucking up to the back of the 78. The David Duke not going to have anywhere to go, not going to be able to get into pit road that time as he's just getting freight trained by all these fresh tires.
Got a little nervous with those cold tires and having to hold it towards the inside a little bit more, as Joshua Siegfried going to get around the 78. That'll be for the lead on the racetrack at this point, as still actually they came in earlier, I do believe, after the first caution, so they can go a little bit farther, but we're still going to have pit stops for them coming pretty soon, and we'll revolve this back around. And it might be Dalton Tucker out in front, actually, as you see David Duke coming down pit road. But Dalton Tucker might be the one that picks up the race lead once we cycle through.
Yeah, that big undercut helping him out for the time being, but not going to be able to take the lead as Siegfried's still out there. James Holtzer making the move to the inside now on those fresher tires. James Holtzer has 8-lap fresher tires, and it's showing the speed difference right there. But Josh Siegfried, we're going to see if he comes down this time, as his teammate David Duke came down last time. This is the last car to come down pit road for this cycle, so gets on cleanly, and we're going to have a new race leader. James Holtzer going to be taking that back over.
But how about the effect of the undercut there? You're going to see Holtzer hold on to the lead, but by far less than it was. But remember, it was Gabriel Ellison that was sitting in the second position when we started this cycle of green flag pit stops. He's going to be all the way back in 5th. And you're going to see Tucker, Schaefer, and Berger all picking up spots, moving to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th respectively, as we come out of this green flag pit stop sequence. And then we saw a big shakeup there in the top 5.
Yeah, so Gabriel Ellison able to get by Seth Berger that time, move his way up to 4th. Going to have Reese Schaefer next in line, about a half a second ahead of him. So these guys are in about 3-lap difference on tires. Actually, Gabriel Ellison has 5-lap fresher tires than these guys in front of him. So it's going to have some good speed for that 27 machine. Shouldn't have any problem picking up these 2 spots in front of him.
And the general rule of thumb, you're looking at about 1/10 of a second of slow up a lap until those tires kind of level off and those times level off with them. Maybe around here you're looking more at about 5/100ths of a second because of the concrete surface. You don't have the drop off as significant and as quick. But 5-lap difference, you're still looking at a pretty good chunk of time there, possibly a 1/4 second a lap.
So you see that difference right here, working on Dalton Tucker. Going to go take a peek to the inside here, and Gabriel Ellison's going to take over that second position. Once again, Reese Schaefer going to be taking a look to the inside of Dalton Tucker. Not going to have it. Scott Healy going to be looking to the inside of Reese Schaefer instead. He is out there on really fresh tires as well. And Austin Reedy also coming down the same pit cycle as these guys Scott Healy and Austin Reedy both have 8 laps on their tires so far, so some fresh rubber for these guys, really proven to be fast, but they have a long ways to go to catch back up to that leader of the 42, James Holtzer, about 2.5 seconds back.
And Holtzer continuing to just pull away bit by bit here. As you see Craig Lautenschlager behind him, he is 4 laps down, running in the 27th position. And then you got to go back that 2.5 second gap to Gabriel Ellison, as it was earlier here in this race. They have gone back to 1-2 here in the standings. Top 10 kind of sorted itself back out pretty well compared to where it was. Dalton Tucker really making a lot of progress, though, with that undercut, but he is starting to fall back just a little bit each lap, and you see him fall to 7th now on that pylon on the left side of the screen as he's racing with Seth Berger for 6th.
Yeah, Landon Lacy making it look easy, picking up spots like it's nothing out there with those fresher tires than the rest of these guys. So that just goes to show you how much of a difference it is to do the undercut as well as just waiting a little bit longer than the rest. So he's going to go ahead and go to work here on Reese Schaefer. He has 4-lap fresher tires. They on the 17, takes a peek to the inside. He's going to have really good momentum heading down the backstretch here, and probably just going to send it in deep to turn 3 to clear that 17. And there you see it looked really easy for the 24. Now sitting in the top 5 with his sights set on the 1 car of Austin Reedy.
And honestly, even though he's running in 5th at this point, Landon Lacy may have the best shot at catching James Holtzer here in this race, even though he's going to have to pass a few more cars to do it than Gabriel Ellison, who's in 2nd. Just the amount of speed and the amount of grip that he's shown, really having good control of this car. And you can see that interval. It's kind of held pretty steady between about 4.5, maybe 5 seconds. Right now we're looking at 4.8. Think that if we stay green, he might have a shot at this, though, just because of how well he was making that car stick, especially on the older tires as the run kept going.
So we'll see how Landon Lacy does as this race is just looking like it's going to stay green, just like we saw it do on Thursday in the Xfinity Series race. Going to have his work cut out for him if this does stay green after starting 27th, although he has picked up 22 spots. But there you see the comparison between Holtzer and Lacy. Holtzer is faster right now out in front in that clean air.
That's been the big difference. Lacy passing cars, that's where some of those 2/10, 3/10, that's where it's going to come in. He's clear for a good 2.5 now. Still lost a little bit of time, though, so Holtzer's still showing that he's got a lot of speed, obviously, as he's out in front in that 42. I'm curious to see how it plays out once we get later into the run, but to this point, it has been all James Holtzer here in this race.
Yeah, so just to give you a rundown as we near the halfway point of our top 10. As it stands, James Holtzer going to be sitting there in 1st. Gabriel Ellison, his teammate to his rear, sitting in 2nd. Scott Healy making a good run up to the front, sitting 3rd at the moment. Austin Reedy going to be running in 4th. Landon Lacy going to round out the top 5. Joshua Balliet going to come in 6th at the moment. Reese Schaefer, his teammate, going to be just behind him in 7th. Dean Brummett going to be running 8th at the moment. Seth Berger going to be in 9th place with Dalton Tucker rounding out the top 10. But still, like I said, a little bit over half of the race left to go. I'm sure we are going to see this shake up a little bit more before it's all said and done.
Another thing to keep in mind, 28 cars in this race. We still have 25 on the lead lap. Still another 5 seconds or so, the gap from 25th place Byron McDonald back to the race leader, James Holtzer. So we got some time before we see another car get lapped. So we're seeing a lot of just a good job from everybody, keeping these cars in line, keeping the speed pretty well consistent with each other. We're not seeing a huge fall off for too many people. Saw a couple cars get damaged in that opening wreck, but aside from that, everybody's had some pretty good speed around this track.
For sure, but the most speed out on the track right now, sitting out in front, James Holtzer in the 42, making it look easy at the moment, but still has some tough cars just behind him. We'll see if they're going to be able to catch up here. Gabriel Ellison was about 0.15 of a second faster that last lap. Holtzer running a 65, and Gabriel Ellison running a 30-50. So starting to show some speed out there for the 27. We're going to see if he has that long run speed this time as far as the long green flag runs go.
About halfway through this second stint, as you're looking at lap 90, going to be that target. So this has been a pretty quick run here since we saw those pit stops go through for the field, and that sequence ending about lap 50. So we're starting to see what these guys are going to have at this point, as this is about that point where the tires are going to kind of level off a little bit. You're not going to see a whole lot of fall off on the time from here on out through the rest of the run.
You saw Seth Berger making a pass on his teammate Reese Schaefer, so now Seth Berger going to be making his way up to, I believe, what is 8th place. So good run by him so far, trying to make his way back up to the top 5 where he was running not too long ago. And there you see Reese Schaefer not wanting to let him get too far away, but Tank Racing having a great day so far as they're sitting second in the team standings in the Cup Series, and proving why that is. Joshua Balliet also having a good run, sitting 6th. So 3 cars within the top 8, or top 9, excuse me. Not too bad a night.
Not bad at all, as they continue to just really have this impressive season. And it's been Balliet, Schaefer, and Berger really leading that charge most part each week here, and they're doing it again, sitting, as you said, they're in the top 10 for all 3 of those guys. Tank just putting together a strong season.
Well, as we say that, well, that's actually not, I thought that was Reese Schaefer under attack from Scott Healy. That's actually Gabriel Ellison under attack from Scott Healy. This battle is for second, so Scott Healy has caught up to the 27. We'll see if he's able to get by him. But for the whole race, it seems that James Holtzer and Gabriel Ellison have been our top 2. Scott Healy is trying to break up the Next Level Motorsports party here.
Oh, by the way, here comes the defending champion to the party. And he's been pretty quiet here this season, but still putting together some strong runs as we get this season out of the early stages into the middle of this regular season. And here in the middle portion of this race, as we're just now past halfway, Scott Healy's starting to make a move towards the front, and he's been the fastest car out here when it comes to the second half of the runs once we get through these this tire fall off.
Yeah, so we're officially halfway through this race, and right now you're watching a great battle for second place. Scott Healy unable to pull it off at the moment. That's going to suck Austin Reedy up to the party too not too long from now. The 64 just looks really tight on these older tires, not able to make that car roll through the center on the inside of this 27, and the 27 able to keep the speed up on that middle lane. So this is a tough battle right here for Scott Healy. Really going to have to work hard to pull this one off.
And don't count out Austin Reedy there, that's sitting right behind him, just buying his time, seeing how this race plays out. And I think whoever gets the advantage on this battle for second place, he's going to be the one that just goes, all right, I'll go through, just walk through that door that you opened. And there he goes, trying to push Scott Healy out in front. And he's going to try to take that inside spot against Gabriel Ellison, but not going to get enough momentum, as Ellison got able to pull a little bit of that draft and build that momentum out of turn 2. So he's going to stay in third and get clear, as we saw Bo Brady go through the grass on the tri-oval. He keeps it straight, gets back up on that concrete. We're going to stay green with 65 laps to go.
Yeah, not sure what happened to Bo Brady there, but great job coming back on the track safely and keeping the race going for that 19 machine. But a great battle right here, like I've been saying, for a second. Scott Healy going to set his sights now on that 42 of James Holtzer to see if he can get up there and make a race for this lead. We'll have to find out if he has the pace to do just that. But right now, this battle between Tank Racing teammates still ongoing between Reese Schaefer and Seth Berger. But Kyle Benson trying to get his nose in on the party. And Timothy Latham, who showed great speed on that long run before the last round of green flag pit stops, trying to get in on it as well.
I feel like we've seen these 4 near each other pretty much all season thus far, and here they are once again racing for positions here surrounding that top 10 at the moment. And this is some good tight racing here, as Benson kind of getting up there just a little bit, keeps it off the 77 nice and clean, gets a good run down that back straightaway, and he's going to pull the nose just in front, possibly could get clear of the 77 of Seth Berger, and he does as he slides up in front just before they go into that tri-oval. And they're going to get single file for 9th through 12th as they get through lap 70 into lap 71.
There you have it. Reese Schaefer able to clear his teammate, but now going to be under attack from that 10 of Kyle Benson. Kyle Benson going to take a look to the inside of the 17, heading into turn 3 here. And that 10 car is looking fast, trying to make his way into the top 10. And Kyle Benson has had a solid first season in SRN and has really shown the speed. Oh, he gets into the 17. They're going to make contact and sends him spinning through the grass. No caution, though.
No caution as it filtered out into the grass, and the person that's going to be the most disappointed with that is going to be Reese Schaefer, because he's going to lose a lot of time on this one, possibly a lap as well, as we see cars just flying right by him as he finally gets it back to speed, and there goes James Holtzer around him, so he's going to go a lap down for that 17 of Reese Schaefer.
Absolutely crazy turn of events for that 17, who is having a solid run so far, but making contact in a very tricky part of the track where it's tight through the front stretch. But we'll see if the 17 is able to rebound and get back up here if he's able to get a caution. But he is not going to be too far ahead of James Holtzer, so going to have to really work hard to stay on the lead lap. But there you see it. James Holtzer putting some time between him and Sky Healy. He is the fastest car out on the track right now. To give you a comparison, James Holtzer ran a 30.98 last lap. Scott Healy running a 31.04. So not too far off of that 64, but still not gaining any ground on the 42.
It's almost seemed like Holtzer's just been kind of toying with everybody at this point, because every time we think, oh, here comes somebody into some clean air and he'll be able to make this run, it just doesn't happen. And we see Holtzer kind of pick up a little bit more time than he had. So not sure if he's got somebody kind of saying like, hey, they're side by side, you can kind of take it easy here for this little bit or anything, just trying to manage the tires or something. But yeah, every time we think that there's somebody that's got a shot, it just does not happen. And that lead just continues to inch bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and someone that we really thought had a shot to make his way up here has kind of fizzled out as far as momentum goes, and that's Landon Lacy sitting there 5th. He has lost a lot of time to these front guys here, sitting over 2.5 seconds back of Austin Reedy, sitting over 6.5 seconds back of his teammate James Holtzer, who's out in front right now, and Joshua Balliet trying to get up in the mix to maybe make a run for the top 5. So maybe Landon overextending those tires a little bit and really trying to find some speed out there in that 24 machine.
Yeah, interesting to see how much that 24 has fallen off, as see him about 7 seconds back, 7.25 seconds back, but still our biggest mover here of the race after starting in that 27th position. He's up to 5th. Next biggest mover is going to be Timothy Latham, who's sitting in 10th, or excuse me, in 9th at the moment, starting in the 22nd position for him. So we've seen a couple big movers here tonight, but not as many as we've seen throughout the rest of the week in some of these races, where we were seeing people pretty regularly just pulling up 20, 30 spots even, as oh wow, Seth Berger got very sideways coming out of turn 4. He's able to keep it straight, but he's going to give up that position to Kyle Benson in the 10 possibly, but a great recovery there from the 77 on the inside. He's actually going to hang on to that position.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing some green flag pit stops here shortly. Again, working on lap 78 as it runs. But yeah, these guys going to be making some green flag stops here shortly.
Still side by side after the bit of a crossover. Saw Dalton Tucker, I believe that was, making his way to pit road. So he was the first one to make a pit stop last time by on that sequence. He'll be the first one here this time, and it's going to be way short of being able to go the rest of the way.
Right here, a great battle between these two. Kyle Benson still trying to make his run up through the top 10, showing some really good speed. Another good performance for Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing, but a great battle, like I said, between these two guys, not sorting itself out yet as they are side by side heading down the front stretch. Going to see if Kyle Benson can clear himself heading into 1, not able to do so.
Ooh, tight racing there as Benson pushing up just a little bit. He got a little too deep. It just kind of washed up there. He'll lose that side-by-side race, but they do keep it off each other. And that, in the bigger picture, is going to be the better part of that for both of them. No contact made, as that was a pretty precarious spot for both of them, as we now have 50 laps to go here at Nashville.
See it. A great battle all over the track, with Seth Berger pulling it off right now. I'm excited to see who makes that first undercut attempt at going down pit road. Having a little bit of technical difficulties here with our standings, hoping to get that fixed for you guys. But there you see it. We're on lap 86 of 135, so 50 laps left in this race. So we are definitely nearing that cycle for green flag pit stops. We saw Dalton Tucker make the first move last time, probably having to stretch it out a little bit more this time, but I anticipate by lap 90 we will be seeing someone come down pit road.
And hearing more and more chatter of drivers coming in a little bit early. Nobody within the top 10 at this point, though. You see Brady, who earlier spun through the grass. No caution for that moment, but he's going to come down with these pit stops here. Seth Berger going to be the first of the top 10 as he comes down pit road. It's a slow crawling speed as they make their way down there, especially with everybody still under green. But this should be the final stop. Believe he can make it the rest of the way.
Yeah, good move there by Seth Berger, sitting in 10th place as it runs at the moment. So not too much to lose for him. Michael Politis also coming down as well as Emerson Hardon and then Elvis Presley 57 machine. So like I mentioned, we were getting near that time for green flag pit stops take place. But I have to imagine pit road is going to get really busy as we near lap 90. And I imagine we're going to see a lot of these top 10 guys start to make their way down.
Yeah, keeping my ears open to hear if any other drivers decide to announce that move. There's been some this week that have not mentioned that they were going to make a pit stop because they were trying to undercut without giving too much warning. To do that, it's a little bit dangerous, especially around this track, because we've mentioned it's a tough pit road to get onto at a quality speed. Because of just how blind that is. It's a pretty quick entry once you get out of turn 4, and really you kind of have to use those lines. You'll see like a triple line, a double line, a single line on the apron. That's really your indicator of like, hey, pit road's coming up, because you cannot see it until you get through turn 4 too well.
Dean Brummett coming down pit road this time to make his final stop of the night if this does stay green. So we're going to get 4 fresh tires on board that 25 machine. David Duke also coming down pit road as well to get 4 fresh tires and fuel to get him to the end. So like I said, pit road getting really busy as we take lap 90. So these guys looking like this thing is going to stay green and making moves to get them to the end.
And at this point, they have proven they can make it the rest of the way from here as Joshua Balliet and that Dragon Force-inspired car is in. Nick Gowen, he's been one of the faster guys out there this run, is in. Scott Kalal, a little bit sideways, trying to get that under control, and he does before that commitment cone where the speed limit does start. And James Holtzer, race leader, coming in, and he's going to make this exactly a 45-lap run to the end should we not have a green-white checker. Scott Healy and Gabriel Ellison following him as well.
Lacy also coming down pit road, so it is busy. Timothy Latham gets sideways, able to keep the car off the wall, but definitely going to lose some time on that pit entry. Kyle Benson also coming down the pit road. It is very busy down here, but there you see Joshua Siegfried as well coming to get 4 fresh tires and fuel. That's going to cycle the lead out to Austin Reedy, who is coming down this time. Really gets hot coming in, but able to blow it up just in time. And that's going to put the Taylor Swift car of Max Service out front. He's going to stay out and lead a lap this time by to get him that extra bonus point.
He is feeling number 1, not number 22 here at this point. As I had to get that in somewhere.
You really tried.
Yeah, I had to force that one a little bit. That's fine. But yeah, he's out in front as we see Kyle Spees making his way down pit road. And there, once again, we see that speed difference as the 7. Joshua Balliet was just on pit road a couple of laps ago and just blows right by Max Service, who's going to make his pit stop here now after picking up that bonus point.
Yeah, it's very hard to stay out there too long as you see those guys just flying by you, but we see it happen in other series where it pays off for somebody to stay out that long, as we see Ty Cole in the 41 making his way down the pit lane for Ramsey Cole Racing, and that is going to give the lead back to the 42 of James Holtzer. So cycling through this whole field here of green flag pit stops for the second time now. So these guys having a really long green flag run. I believe we're on about 83 or 84 laps so far. So a great race out here as these guys are keeping it clean tonight and really sorting it out there amongst themselves on the track.
And really a commendable job from everybody, because we point out that this is a difficult pit road to get onto. It's also a little bit difficult with the access road getting out of pit road, just because it kind of wants to bait you to go a little bit faster than you really should be to get around there safely. It just feels like you can pick up a little bit more speed, but then before you know it, you might touch the grass and kind of slide it or spin it coming out of pit road. Also, with the amount of speed difference here on a pretty short track that's very tight, very narrow in how it drives, and you see the difference between some of these cars on fresh tires, on old tires. The fact that we have not seen anybody get into any trouble during these green flag pit stop sequences is absolutely incredible. So a great job from everybody on that aspect.
Oh, for sure, 100%. And that's why these guys are amongst the best in the league and have those I ratings as high as they are. They know how to get it done when it comes to their racecraft. But let's go ahead, check out the individual standings while we have a shot. You know, it's been a long green flag run, so let's go ahead and give you a rundown of them before they went into this race tonight. James Holtzer sitting there in first for Next Level Motorsports with a 13-point lead over Scott Healy. These two were running first and second before this cycle of green flag pit stops. Reese Schaefer sitting there in third, likely to fall a little bit after taking a spin through the infield grass. Gabriel Ellison, who's had a solid night tonight, going to be running fourth, just 2 points behind Reese Schaefer. That's why I think Reese Schaefer going to be dropping down a little bit. Dean Brummett rounding out our top five, Brandon.
Yeah, so those five, we've really seen three of them have a strong night. Dean Brummett also in the top 10, currently running in 10th. Reese Schaefer, second car, one lap down in 21st. Seth Berger, Landon Lacy, Timothy Latham, also having some pretty solid runs here tonight. Dalton Tucker has kind of been a little bit up and down here in this run, currently sitting in the fourth position, but he was the first one to make that pit stop in this second pit stop sequence. And Kyle Benson has been around that top 10 all night as well.
Yeah, Joshua Balliet has really run well tonight, sitting just outside the top five before that round of green flag pit stops. He was running in the sixth spot. Austin Reedy, we've seen him up front all night long. He ran really well on Thursday in the Xfinity Series race. That's why he was my pick tonight. So he is looking to make some improvements on his standings in the individual standings as they are right now in Week 6. Scott Calall, not too much to know from him tonight, but still running out there as it is, and sitting in 17th right now in the 23 machine. So he's going to be looking to pick up a few more spots. John Honeycutt sitting in 12th currently in the 50 car. So Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing having a really good run here tonight at Nashville, and that's why there are four of them in the inside the cut as it is. David Duke, also one of those guys, sitting 14th right now on a little bit of a different strategy than the rest. So he is looking to make some improvements, as well as the guys sitting outside the cut are just bearing down on him. Raul Meza, he has not been around too much tonight. We've seen him here and there here at Nashville, but Kyle Spees looking to make some improvements, sitting 18th as they run. And Nicholas Goen, we've seen him running all night in the top 10, sitting 7th, so looking to make his way inside the top 15.
Yeah, Nicholas Goen has definitely been the big winner here tonight. Currently running in the 7th position, closing in on Dalton Tucker for 6th. So for Goen, it might be a move into the top 15 after a little bit of a surprisingly slower start than I think we were anticipating after how hot he came out at the end in the Xfinity Series last season with a couple wins of the playoffs at COTA and at Charlotte. And he had all this momentum, moved up to the Cup Series, and it was just a little bit of an adjustment, I think, for him. They're really starting to pick up some pace here as, again, he's running in that 7th position and may find himself above that cut line here as we get to the halfway point in the regular season.
Yeah, I think people really understand or underestimate the transition from Xfinity to Cup cars, two totally different cars when you get out there on the track. But he's really starting to show some really good pace out there and showing it tonight, sitting seventh, or sixth actually now. So moving up even more to gain more points, and he's even gotten a bonus point tonight to help the cause. But there you see Jacob Smith running in 23rd on these standings, actually not out there tonight. So going to drop down a little bit. Bo Brady in 26th. He is running 15th, actually 16th. So he's going to try and make his way up to that top 15 as he's had a on and off year all year long. But Byron McDonald there in 28th, not having the night he was hoping for, sitting outside the top 20. And Max Service really going to help his cause as he's sitting in the top 15. So he's going to be looking to make his way up.
Yeah, and speaking of moving their way up, it's moving their way farther up for James Holtzer, as he now has a 4.2 second lead as we have 31 laps to go, coming up on 30 to go here around this pretty short mile and a third track. And it's Austin Reedy in second, Gabriel Ellison in third, as it just continues to be all Holtzer tonight.
There you see it. Our top five has not changed too much as we were just taking a look at the standings. Holtzer going to be first. Austin Reedy there in second now in front of Gabriel Ellison, so that's a little bit different. Landon Lacy back in fourth. Sky Healy running fifth, so he lost some ground on this field as he was running second behind James Holtzer before that round of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, and you can see how quick these go. 29-second laps, about 30-second laps at this point here in the run, and it does not take long for these laps to tick off, as 106 already in the books, and we won't be out here too much longer should this stay green the rest of the way.
Yeah, and the pace that James Holtzer putting on, he's going to make it even quicker, so definitely a great race by that 42. Going to see if anybody has anything for him, but running out of time to do so. But right now, battle between Scott Kalal and Bo Brady here, two drivers that we just mentioned in those standings, looking to make some ground on the guys ahead of him. Scott Kalal picking up another spot. Kyle Spees just behind him, looking to get on this race as well.
Yeah, that's for 15th, 16th, and 17th out on the grid, and they're about 3 seconds ahead of Holtzer, and possibly going a lap down, as we're starting to see that number of lapped cars starting to build more and more as we got through that second stint. We only had about 3 cars off the lead lap at the end of the first one, and now we're sitting there at just 18 cars on the lead lap, so 10 at least 1 lap down.
Well, yeah, but this is a 100-lap green flag run, so to have 18 out of the 28 cars still on the lead lap says a lot about the speed in this field. But Joshua Siegfried, the next in line to go a lap down, has a little bit of ground ahead of him and James Holtzer, so he's going to be working hard to stay on that lead lap just in case a caution does come out. But right now, the first car lap down going to be the 8 of Michael Politis. But right here, a battle here between 4th, 5th, and 6th. Landon Lacy, Scott Healy. Oh, and sorry, the Ty Coleman team of 41 is a lap down. So a battle for 4th and 5th between Landon Lacy and Scott Healy.
And these were two of the cars that we really kept an eye on because of how much they were moving through the field and the amount of speed that they had, and it just does not translated into closing in on the 42 and that race lead, but still some great racing here as they fight for the 4th and 5th spot, still inside that top 5 after neither of them started inside the top 10. It was a 12th place start for Healy, a 27th place start for Landon Lacy, who is still our big mover of the race.
Yeah, but still falling even further behind his teammate of James Holtzer, ever so slightly each run, but sitting about 8 seconds back of the 42 right now. Nobody gaining any time on James Holtzer as he's almost 5 seconds ahead of second place Austin Reedy, and not looking back as we take the stripe to go 25 laps to go here tonight for the Music City 175.
Just not a whole lot to talk about here at this point with the size of the lead, 4.5 seconds, but also because we've really seen this field kind of stretch out a little bit. I don't think we've got anything too close to side by side aside from Lacy and Healy, but even that's kind of grown a a little bit as we check in on Going and Balliet. This is possibly the next one, as we got Balliet with a good run into 3 and 4, but he's not going to be able to hold it on exit. Going to continue to hold on to that 6th position as they tick off another lap. And something you mentioned earlier was when we were talking about Nick Going and that transition and how people kind of underestimated. I can definitely relate to that, going from trucks to Xfinity this season. And I got to tell you, it takes a few races for people to kind of just understand how the car is going to translate, how everything's going to move. There's just little intricacies that are different from each series, and then you also have to get used to the people that you're racing around and pick up on their tendencies. There's a whole lot that goes into it, and trying to just make that jump, it's not as easy as I think a lot of people would expect. So seeing Going starting to pick up that momentum and really starting to pull off these around top 5 finishes, it's showing how quick he's adjusted to it, and that's a big credit to him in that 88 car as he currently holds that 6th position.
Yeah, and he won a few races last year in the Xfinity car, so he definitely has the talent to go out there and get it done on the track. Hence why Next Level Motorsports wanted him on their team and why they're sitting in first at the moment. So, they're having a great night out there for that team, sitting first, third, fourth, and 6th. So these guys are really bringing it to the field tonight. Going to have another awesome points night as far as team standings go.
Another peak in turn 3 where Balliet has really had some power going into the turn, but just not able to get the run out of turn 4. Just Going has a lot more speed on exit, and that's just the style that you go into. Obviously, you can slow up a little bit more just to set that car up to have a better line coming out of the turn, and that's what we're seeing here with the 88. He really does lose that gap to the 7 on entry, but he is so much faster down the straightaways. It's all about the exit of the turns, which is hyper important here.
Well, last season's Cup champion making a move on Landon Lacy to get up to 4th place now. So Scott Healy moving into 4th place. Landon Lacy going to fall back to 5th. So really that was the closest battle on the track. Other than that, the closest battle is probably going to be back there between 15th, 16th, and 17th. The Kyle Speed, Scott Kalal, and Josh Siegfried. So you're not wrong, Brandon, when there's not much going on track. But right here, a good battle between Balliet and Going for 6th place. That's really going to work itself out as Dalton Tucker on fresher tires, it looks like, going to really get his nose in there and try to get by these guys. He's going to need to get his lap back, trying to see when he pitted, because like you mentioned, not too long ago, he was running in the top 5, so he must have had to come down again and not have the fuel he needed to get to the end, but he's definitely got fresher tires than those guys.
Yeah, Tucker did come back in at lap 104. I believe I saw him come in. It was around lap 80. He was the first one in, so definitely knew he wasn't going to make it and just took that shot soon after the pit stop sequencing ended, as Scott Healy making his way around the lapped car of Reese Schaefer, as does Landon Lacy, but it's Healy that's picked up the 4th position as he gets around Lacy for that. They're still both in the top 5, still 4 seconds ahead of 6th place Nick Going. But a couple seconds the gap from 3rd place Gabriel Ellison back to 4th and 5th, so we may have a race there that could build here over the last 18 laps.
We'll see how it works itself out, but right now James Holtzer just working through some lap traffic. The next one ahead of him is going to be the 23 of Scott Kalal, so that'll be 15 cars on the lead lap once he gets by the 23. Scott Kalal just going to let him go, take the bottom line, not really work too hard to hold James Holtzer up, and he's going to just slide right up in front and be on his way. But right here you see it now, 15 cars on the lead lap as we are down to roughly over 15 laps to go.
And it has just been smooth sailing. The only time that Holtzer has not led today has been during the green flag pit stops, where we've seen a handful of drivers stay out just a little bit longer to get a bonus point. One of those all-important bonus points for leading a lap, but definitely the extra bonus point for leading the most, locked up a long time ago here for the 42, as we're down to 15 laps to go here at Nashville, and Holtzer still with a 5-second lead.
Yeah, so the field is going to need some help with the second caution of the night, as we've only had one here tonight, an absolute fantastic, clean race put on by these Cup guys. And so for the rest of these guys to catch up, they're really going to need something to happen, and a little bit of a miracle too, as the 42 is just outpacing everybody on track, and that includes the one Austin Reedy, the 27 Gabriel Ellison, as well as Scott Healy and Landon Lacy. All these guys that have shown really good speed as compared to the rest of the field. They have nothing for the 42 right now as it stands. He is just steady pulling away.
As you see the 42 of Holtzer get around Kyle Spies to put him a lap down as well. So we're down to just 13 cars, little under half the field on the lead lap at this point. A definite factor of how long this green flag run has been, as we're over 100 laps into it, about 115 laps into this green flag run actually. Incredibly impressive how everybody's handled this new circuit to SRN.
Yeah, so the next one in line to go a lap down going to be John Honeycutt, and he has a little bit of distance between him and, John Honeycutt just pitted, so he's going to be a lap down. So the next one going to be Kyle Benson standing in the way of James Holtzer, and he's got about 5-6 seconds. So it's going to be really hard for Holtzer to get in front of him, but that should mean that James Holtzer has a clear track and no problems in his way. So we are getting closer and closer to the end of this race, as it has just been green, green, green the whole time for this Music City 175. These guys putting on a great show, and really clean show, racing each other really respectfully. But James Holtzer looking like the class of the field right now.
Yeah, and behind him, just to follow up on a couple of the races that we were checking in on a bit ago, Scott Healy still ahead of Landon Lacy at this point by about 0.2 of a second. A couple of other good races that we've had. Joshua Balliet now in the 6th position, as he did make his way around Nick Gowen. And also 8th and 9th has been a pretty solid battle. Dean Brummett about a 1/4 second ahead of Timothy Latham. And once again, we're going to have some good racing here, but for 4th and 5th, as Landon Lacy taking a look at Scott Healy.
Yeah, he's going to be looking to get that 4th place position back, but want to go ahead and give you guys an update. Our scoring, and it's going to be a little bit behind. We are down to actually 9 laps to go in this race, so excuse us on that. We're trying to get it sorted out for you guys, but we will give you the standings as they are. Nothing is wrong on the screen as far as that goes, but the time left in this race, we are actually down to 9 laps left. So we are getting down to it, almost to the end of this race, in a battle for the top 5 between Scott Healy and Landon Lacy taking place. And you see the faster car just behind them, the 73 of Dalton Tucker. He is a lap down. As he mentioned, he just pitted not too long ago. So he is going to be trying to get by these guys. But really, the battle between the 64 and the 24.
And I like what he's doing here. He does have the fresher tires. He's just kind of sitting back, though. I think he knows that his bed's pretty much made tonight. He's sitting there 5th out of those that are 1 lap down in 18th position. So getting the lucky dog probably not going to happen. He just does not want to be a factor here in this race between them. But now that they've gotten a little bit spread out, I think it's time. You can kind of take a look there inside. There you see him getting around the 24. He knows he's not really affecting that race for position.
There you see it, down to 7 laps to go in this race. James Holtzer going to come by this time to take the stripe and make it 6 laps to go, looking to get down to the end with no problems in this race. So he does not want this field to get bunched back up, as he has a 5.5 second lead over Austin Reedy. And Gabriel Ellison sitting about 1.5 seconds back of Austin Reedy. So it could be a whole different story if we do see a caution, but the way this thing is sorting itself out and all these guys sorted out and separated on the track, I don't see it happening, Brandon. I think this thing is going to go green all the way to the end.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say otherwise here with how we've seen this race play out. We saw that caution on lap number 3, and it has been green all the way since. And definitely the case that James Holtzer wants to see that continue for a handful of more laps, as that's the last thing he wants to see is a caution shake this thing up at the end. But we have been staying green, as we now have coming to 4 laps to go for James Holtzer, who's looking to be our first repeat winner on the season.
Yeah, taking the stripe this time, like you said, will be 4 laps left in this race. And, you know, it says a lot about him to become the first back-to-back winner of SRN's Cup Series this year. in week 6. So taking a little while to get our first repeat winner, but he's going to probably be the one to do just that, as he has a huge gap between him and the rest of the field. Going to need a little extra help for everybody else to get up here, coming back around turns 3 and 4 this time. Going to take the stripe to be 3 laps to go.
And that really says a lot about SRN, by the way. It's not just here in the Cup Series that we've seen a big amount of different winners through the trucks, through the Xfinity, through the Cup Series this season. Haven't seen a whole lot of multiple-time winners this season, yet to see one to this point at least here in the Cup Series. But we've just seen so many different winners, and it's kind of followed up what we saw for real on the Cup Series this year, where we went a long way before we saw a second win for anybody. And it looks like that might be ending here tonight in race number 6 for us at SRN.
Yeah, they've been putting on great shows. We take the stripe to go to 2 laps to go in this race. But yeah, there's been great performances among all the series this year at SRN. That just is a testament to the admins putting together a great league, a great bunch of guys that really want to do some clean racing. And it's really showing out there. And as we see James Holtzer come back around turns 3 and 4, to take the white flag. 1 lap to go in the Music City 175.
And another mile and a third and what should be about 130 out of 135 laps led today for James Holtzer, should he keep this together through 1 and 2 for the final time, as we see Byron McDonald slow on the track. But at this point, that's not going to affect anything here, as we got less than about a half mile remaining.
Yeah, takes turns 3 and 4 real easy. No trouble in his way, no lap cars or anything. James Holtzer is going to be our winner tonight for the Music City 175. This thing is over here in Nashville.
And we're going to have to wait still a couple more seconds, as Austin Reedy will take the second position. Then it's going to be Gabriel Ellison in third. Scott Healy going to edge out Landon Lacy by about 0.3 of a second to round out our top 5.
There you have it, folks. The race is over. We will get you the standings here shortly, but James Holtzer has some celebrating to do as he becomes the first repeat winner here in the Cup Series in SRN. So a great run by him tonight, and you mentioned it, led about 130 of the 135 laps. Absolute domination by this 42.
And you see how clean that car looks. That number 42 is, whoa, he almost made his first contact of the night by somebody getting past the start-finish line there as he was doing the celebratory donuts. As, just a fantastic performance, a near-perfect performance if you're just looking at laps led, but I think realistically that was a perfect race there for Holtzer. He's going to continue to grow that points lead.
Yeah, he had about a 13-point gap between him and Scott Healy. Definitely going to extend that out a little bit as you see Scott Healy finishing a little bit further back in the pack. But great run by most of our top contenders so far tonight, but nothing for James Holtzer here. So let's go ahead and give you the rundown of tonight's top 20. James Holtzer, as you see, going to be our winner tonight here in the Music City 175. Austin Reedy going to come home in second. Gabriel Ellison going to finish third. Scott Healy going to be fourth, with Landon Lacy rounding out the top 5.
6th place will be Joshua Balliet. 7th place, Nick Gowen, as he was only about a half second behind in that close race that we were keeping our eyes on. 8th place will go to Dean Brummett. 9th place, Timothy Latham. And rounding out the top 10, our favorite paint scheme of the night, Max Service in the Taylor Swift car, will finish in 10th.
You just never got to do it, but you tried. You tried.
I'll just have to shake it off.
See, I set you up for that one. 11th
it.
is going to be Kyle Benson. Seth Berger coming home in 12th. Kyle Speed is going to be 13th. Scott Kalal going to be 14th. David Duke rounding out the top 15.
And we only had 12 on the lead lap, so keep that in mind as we go forward. 16th place is going to be Josh Siegfried. 17th will go to Dalton Tucker. Raul Meza will be in 18th. Ty Cole, 19th. And rounding out the top 20, Emerson Ardon. In a race that we were talking about incident points earlier, out of 28 drivers, 17 of them with 0 incident points today. And something to keep in mind, that's a bonus point as well for those drivers.
Yep, and every bonus point matters by the time we get to week 13. But let's go ahead now, get to the in-race interviews, post-race interviews, excuse me. Let's bring up Gabriel Ellison. Gabriel, it's Greg Olenik, Brandon Domain up in the booth. Tell us about that third-place finish tonight.
Yeah, man, that was a hard-fought one there. That was just trying to save that right front, man. I'll tell you, this place, it just kills the right front. You're just off the throttle so long in the corner, and the setup was pretty tight in the center. So just trying to save and keep the car clean. I had pretty good pace. I didn't have the pace of James or Reedy or Haley. I mean, Haley ended up running out of fuel, I think, in the middle of that second run, so that got me that spot. But I felt pretty good overall. I was just running my line and protecting the top when I could, and just trying to be consistent.
Yeah, and something that kind of caught us off guard, I was wondering if it caught you too, but just how long that green flag run went for a new track, and how narrow that kind of runs around there, with the bottom line really being the premium. Did that catch you off guard any, that we only saw the one caution on lap 3?
It did for sure. I thought we were in for a caution fest after the beginning because, well, we had people on the Discord, and I think Landon had to start in the back, and he kept saying, "Oh, there's a car in the grass. There's a car in the grass," but we never got a yellow. So, I mean, once it got spaced out, I could kind of see it going green all the way. Still caught me out though, because I know I had a couple situations where I had fresher tires than people, but it's still kind of hard to pass just because of the bottom line so dominant. So I'm very surprised that we didn't get a yellow. Overall, though, I mean, that just a testament that everybody managed to keep it clean. So that was pretty impressive in my opinion.
Well, another podium finish for you, Gabriel. But before we let you go, you got any sponsors or any friends, any family out there you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks to everybody on the Next Level Motorsports, the new team. I think we've worked pretty well together so far. I've enjoyed it. Huge thanks to Sneed Competition Design on the car, website design, to go check them out. And just thanks to everybody at SRN for putting this on.
All right, buddy. Well, congrats again on the top 3. Always becoming a trend for you, Gabriel. Looking to get that first win on the season. We'll see if you can do it next week at Richmond. But for now, we'll send you back down to your teammates and have a good night, man.
Thanks, y'all too.
All right, that was our third place finisher here tonight. Gabriel Ellison coming home with the podium finish. But let's go ahead and move on to tonight's runner-up. And that's going to be Austin Reedy in the one machine. Austin coming home in second tonight after a long green flag run here at Nashville. Tell us about that finish.
That was good. James had it won from probably lap 5 when people couldn't pass each other. I mean, the early run was crucial, trying to save the right front, and we got pinned down there on that first green flag run for a very long time, and we finally got around them guys, but he walked away with it about 3 seconds that first run, and it was hard to catch him after that. I mean, the tires start evening out, and you can only gain so much.
Yeah, was there anything that you think you could have done any different there? It was 5 seconds in the end, the difference, but it felt like, there was possibly a strategy play that could be made from some, but it was kind of flirting with kind of losing that little bit of control on stretching it too far on those runs to possibly try to make that undercut a little bit too early.
The only thing was we couldn't really do an undercut tonight. I mean, I think I pitted 1 lap later than everybody else did on the last stop, but the fuel was so tight. I know I had about 0.3 gallons coming to the line to the good. I know Scott ran out like going into turn 1 or something, so there was really no fuel strategy, or not fuel strategy, but like undercuts or tire strategy in play tonight. I mean, it was so tight on fuel the entire time, you just kind of had to run with what you got.
Well, Austin having a great season so far in that one machine for Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing, becoming accustomed to the booth. So before we let you go, you got any sponsors, any friends, any family you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, all the boys back at Murray Reedy show up for practice every week, and appreciate that. And Scott for joining our team this week definitely taught me a little more things that I did not know. And I got to thank TJ's team and MTC, just the children's cancer research. So all the winnings tonight will go to them. So happy to do that.
Yeah, we always love hearing that, man. You guys got a great cause going on over there for the team. But, we look forward to seeing you do the same next week at Richmond. But for now, we will see you next week. We'll send you back down to your teammates, bud.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, that was our runner-up tonight, Austin Reedy. So let's go ahead and move on to our winner of tonight's race. That will be the 42 of James Holtzer, who absolutely dominated the race tonight. James, it's Greg Olenik and Brandon Domingue in the booth. Tell us about your win here. How you feeling?
Feeling good. That was an awesome performance from the 42 car tonight. Fresh air was so important, so we were practicing qualifying majority of the run. I mean, I did a couple, like 10, 15 lap runs, and knew it was just gonna get tight. But the thing was, is just even with the high horsepower package, it was just so hard to pass. You'd get within like 3/10 of somebody, unless if you were like exponentially faster, you couldn't really pass them. And just kept the fresh air, which was huge, and was smooth on and off pit road. Worked the lap cars well and had the right strategy. As some people decided to short pit, but knew we had to stretch it to 45, and it was going to be tight if we didn't do so. So kind of glad we got that caution early, or it would have been a little more of a stretch on fuel. Scott Healy, I know, was having trouble on fuel as he sputtered coming on to that next to last stop. So fuel was definitely in the reason, but I was just trying to roll the corners as much as I could, especially that last run with the gap that we had. Definitely wanted to do so, and I think Gabriel, could have probably had up there a little bit better, but he didn't have quite as good of a pit stop and kind of got stuck behind lap cars there. But that's the name of the game, and we just had the right sequence, and we had the fresh air and all the things that were required, and we just put everything together tonight. And it was a really good performance. Like I said, I don't think it was that great on the long run. So I was talking to my teammates, it was actually like 4 or 5% worse on the right front. Don't know what I was doing different, but either way, it still got a good result.
Yeah, and going to be the first repeat winner here this season, picking up your second win tonight. Going to Richmond next week, how do you feel your odds are for number 3?
I feel we have a chance. We ran pretty good last year at Richmond. I believe the high groove, I was running the high groove, as you can kind of run. I don't know what updates they've made, but I know it was dynamic. You could kind of run like the third lane in Diamond and get a really good run off the corner. But we'll practice, and Richmond is one of my better short tracks. I wouldn't say it's my best, but I think we have good contention, at least for a top 10, as long as we can keep the nose clean. But yeah, we'll do whatever we can in practice, and we'll see what we can get done next week, and hopefully we can make it 3. That'd be awesome.
Well, before we let you go, you got any sponsors, any friends, any family you want to give a shout out to tonight after tonight's win?
Absolutely. Thanking you guys as always for a fantastic broadcast. Always a pleasure to go back and rewatch. Just want to thank everybody from the league as a whole for putting together a great league. Not often you can go to a track like this and only have one caution. It was immediately, right early on. We pretty much went all the way green. So awesome racing, and hopefully it was enjoyable for you guys in the booth to watch, because it was side by side early on, and it was battles all over the track. So I really can't wait to go back and rewatch it. Just got to thank Next Level Motorsports. Thank everybody that's come and joined me. It's a pleasure to be an owner of this team. We work so well together. We had everybody in the top 10 tonight, I believe. So that's a really good feat to have. With 5 drivers, in the top 10. That's pretty awesome to have. And then just got to thank everybody on the car, Laurel Auto Group, Extreme Sim Racing, JP Designs. Go check out JP Designs. Schemes $5 starting. Package deals as well. Does all of my cars. Fantastic job. Gets back to you quick.
Well, before we let you go, our producer Sean Griffith has that winner sticker ready to go to put next to your name, and there you have it. You are now a 2-time winner on the season in the Cup Series, so looking forward to seeing what you can do next week as we go short track racing at Richmond. But for now, we will send you back down to your team to get the celebration going on.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks, Sean.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. Well, there you have it. Those are our top 3 tonight for your post-race interviews. And Brandon, we, like I said, are going short track racing next week for week 7 action. We are officially halfway through this regular season, and we're going to be getting rich for the Rich Get Richer 180. Catch it Sunday, August 29th, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Are you excited to get short track racing?
I'm excited. We had a short race tonight. We got a short track next week, and definitely think that's going to be a little bit different story. We only saw the 1 caution tonight on lap number 3. We get these cars going around that 3/4 mile D-shaped tri-oval. That's going to be a whole other story, I think, once we get to our first short track officially of the season.
We will get to see how that works itself out next week for the Cup Series, see if we can get another repeat winner or a new winner. But But our next race will be some Truck Series action. Myself and Brandon will have the call for that. You can get that on Wednesday, August 25th, 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be the Rich Get Richer 125, also at Richmond. So, man, we have had a great run so far through the Truck Series. Brandon, what do you expect there?
Man, I just continue to expect, I don't know what to expect as we get to that series. We've seen a whole lot of drivers just continue to fight for the top 5 each and every single week. We've seen a whole lot of parity up there. We're starting to see some of the familiar names start to move their way back up, but I mean, it's been Jonathan Byer that has just looked so strong past few weeks, and I think he had that dam-breaking win a couple weeks ago, and it's hard to say that you can go against that momentum right now.
Yeah, Jonathan Byer himself doing a great job, but Jonathan Byer Racing really setting the tone for the rest of the field. We'll see if anybody else gets in on the mix to get it done and get in the playoff picture. But for now, that is going to do it for us tonight here with the Cup Series action. For myself and Brandon Domingue, we wish you all a good night. Please like and subscribe to the channel. But for now, we always like to leave you with Go Faster.